So in our first cupping exercise, we're going to get used to the whole technique of it. I'm not going to challenge us too much, but I've given us a little bit of a challenge to undertake as part of the whole process. You'll have received 2 coffees, and I've just called them Coffee A and Coffee B. And this is going to be what we call a blind cupping. So you won't know what coffees are in those bags. All you have are 2 cards with descriptions on of the character and flavour of those coffees. And the idea being is, just to add a little bit of interest to the whole exercise, is not only are we going to go through the whole process of cupping to understand and learn a bit more about it, but you're also going to see if you can match the correct card to the correct coffee. First sensory experience is to smell the dry grounds. It's the dry fragrance, we call it. And I tend to just shake the bowl and cup my hands around the bowl and just have a nice sniff, because I want to make sure I time this all the way. So I'm going to pour from a reasonable height, just clipping the sides of the bowl and fill it up to the top. So we're at 3 minutes and 30 seconds and it's time to break the crust. So taking one of your spoons, you're going to push down and through the coffee, and when you do it, you're going to get your nose as close to that bowl as you can to smell that release of aroma as you break the crust. I'm going to go for Coffee A first. And then you get both spoons, rinse them, and we're going to scrape this top layer of kind of yellowish foamy residue that's left over. And using both spoons, you can usually just scoop. And you have to go back a couple of times, that's absolutely fine. I don't want to give too much away and reveal too much, but without going into detail, I am tending very much towards the fruity zone on Coffee A. Coffee B. There's just no fruit on that at all. It's obvious to me this one is pushing me way towards this side of the wheel and towards that nutty cocoa zone. Aftertaste. So how does that length, so after you've drank it and perceived the flavour, what happens then? We're looking for something that's pleasing, enjoyable. We want some length to the coffee. We don't want it to just disappear. We want that finish to be good. And a lot of people struggle with acidity because your typical high street coffee is known to be bitter, and yet coffee itself is known for its acids. There are lots and lots of acids in coffee, and we in the specialty industry find acidity desirable. When you start to talk about some of the more exciting flavours, some of the flavours I've got on the cards here, cherry, apricot, orange zest, the interesting things you're going to find in coffee, they're going to come hand in hand with acidity. And while we're on acidity, we talk about body. And again, we're going to use normal language, normal terminology to describe that side. So Coffee A has what I would call a creamy mouthfeel. It's kind of thick. It kind of creates this sensation of more than it really is. It's a thin liquid, and yet it seems to have more to it when it engages with your tongue. So we're down to the final bit, which is the sweetness. So, Coffee A. This temperature, the sweetness is really kicking in. I'd describe that as being juicy. It's got a nice, juicy sweetness, kind of makes my mouth salivate slightly. And that kind of combination of acidity and sweetness. It's creating almost like a mild fruit, not quite berry, but fruity kind of experience in my mouth. That's really, really good. Combine everything you've done so far and think about the coffee in its own right. And I actually really do like coffee A. I think it's delicious. It's my kind of coffee. I can appreciate coffee B. So I dislike coffee B. I think it's a great example because I know what is in there. But if I was going to drink either of them at a choice, coffee A would be my preferred coffee. It'd be really interesting to find out which of the two you will have preferred.